Well, hello, and welcome back to the Chamber Vibes podcast. I'm your host, Foster Garrett, Director of Marketing and Events for the Bedford Area Chamber of Commerce. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. Let me just give you a rundown of what's going on. So every week I interview a different chamber member to find out what they do and why they do it. Recorded right here in beautiful Bedford, Virginia, broadcasting on Grove Street FM, and brought to you by Media Squatch. But before we get to the actual podcast, I do want to tell you about one of our upcoming chamber events, as it is happening tomorrow, May 23rd, from 5 to 6 p.m. It is our Live at 5 evening networking event hosted by the Peaks Retreat and Adventure Center, located right here in Thaxton, Virginia. So if you've never been out to the Peaks Retreat, or maybe you've never even heard of it, this is an excellent way to come check out one of Bedford County's gems. I went out there, I think either last week or the week before, and I have known about the Peaks Retreat since I started this job a little over a year ago, but I'd never actually gotten to visit. And it is as cool and beautiful as I have been told it was. It's 66 acres of different adventure experiences. They have low ropes courses, and sports courts, and a pool, and a 40-foot gravity zip line, and a rock climbing wall, and all this great stuff that they use for summer camps as well as corporate retreats. So if you're looking for a great place to do team building, this is a really excellent way to come check it out. They also have a couple community events, community days a year where they just open their facility up to the public for a very, very small fee. And lots of families come out and people just come to enjoy the Peaks Retreat and just explore all the great things that they have there. However, they were telling me that they have become such a popular spot for the summer that they are completely booked up the entire summer with camps. So this Live at 5, happening tomorrow, May 23rd, might be your last chance before the fall to come check out the Peaks Retreat. We're going to be playing cornhole and table tennis and foursquare and just mixing and mingling and expanding our professional and personal circles. There'll be refreshments, and we'll also have a door prize. So it'll be a really excellent event. You don't have to be a chamber member to come, and it is free and open to the public, no registration necessary. So come on out, May 23rd from 5 to 6 p.m. At the Peaks Retreat and Adventure Center located in Thaxton. You can find all that information on our website. We have a full calendar of events on bedfordareachamber.com. And if you want to contact us for more information, I'll drop our phone number at the very end of this episode, so make sure to listen all the way through. But without further ado, please allow me to introduce today's guest, Phyllis Everett with Sapient Health Services. Welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, Foster.
Good morning. Well, before we kind of get into the question and answer, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and about your business's background?
Okay. Well, I started in nursing in school in 1976, right out of high school. I went to a 3-year program at Norfolk General Hospital. It's now a full BSN program, bachelor's program. But I finished there at age 21 and went right into nursing. So we are now at 45 years.
Oh, wow.
of nursing practice. And so we also started the program for nurse practitioner in 2002. So I gradually worked my way through school. I got my bachelor's after I got my diploma, and then I went on to get my master's and then a postmaster's certificate.
Oh, wow.
I actually have 2 of those, one in informatics, so I'm really into computers and how we can use those for healthcare, and then also then got my postmaster's as an adult nurse practitioner in primary care. I also combined that with some oncology because I had that interest as well, and ended up working in oncology after I finished my nurse practitioner certificate.
Wow.
So
that's a lot. That's really incredible. But I'm curious to know, have you always been interested in health?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, personally and for my patients too. So worked hospital type jobs, for the most part, up until I did some administrative work. I've really done a lot of different things, research and administrative. I've done speaking, education, so a lot of variety, and that's why I chose nursing. There were so many things to do with it that I knew I would never be bored. So that has been the case.
That is really amazing. And the technology aspect too, that is really cool. Because I think a lot of people, we talk a lot about how technology advances, but we don't normally think about it on a human level from, who is using that technology and who's doing like the actual work to advance everything that we have.
Right. So I sort of taught myself computer literacy, the Windows 3.0 for dummies, things like that. So I, typed my own master's thesis on a, 5 1/4 disc floppy drive way back when. People will remember that. Some people had never even seen one. So
I probably have never seen one. Well, that's excellent. And where did the idea for Sapient Health Services come from?
Well, I was introduced to an idea of opening my own practice when there was an article in the paper, and the supervisor in Bedford at the time, Curry Martin, was interested in reopening a practice near his home in Glenwood that had been previously occupied by a physician and nurse practitioner. And in the article in the paper, he said that he was looking for a physician or a nurse practitioner. And my mom read the article and she says, I hesitate to hand you this, because she knew that it was going to start something. So I saw that he had a knowledge that a nurse practitioner could come in and run this. And I knew at the time we had just become able to practice autonomously through the legislature, and it was a way to show how nurse practitioners could start and run a business and be successful and help in the rural areas where we are really called to be. So I worked with him for a while out in Glenwood, and then eventually moved into a house out there. And then we had this viral illness that took over everything back in 2020, and we ended up having to move out of that home and focus more of our attention in the area of Big Island, where we had opened a clinic. And that's where we've been focusing until we can get back into the Huddleston Lynch Station area. So
that is really cool. I think that it's interesting to hear that it came from a supervisor writing an article in the paper.
I think he was interviewed when Centra opened the urgent care in Forest. They were interested in knowing his, perspective on things, and that's when he put in his interest in putting something back out in Glenwood.
Yeah. Well, it's the connection between civic aspirations and the business people that can actually make those things happen. And it's a really, I think, incredible story, especially serving specifically rural areas where there's not a whole lot of healthcare access.
Right.
And I've also, to your point of nurse practitioners owning and running a business, I think that's really incredible. I'm a very young person, but it's not something that I think is widely heard of.
Right. There are not many of us in the state of Virginia, and it's not without its challenges. When we first opened in Glenwood, at the time we could only credential to file insurance with Medicare and Medicaid. So we did not have within the state of Virginia the ability to bill commercial insurance. So that took another 2 years of working through that legislative process to get that to take hold, and then the actually getting the contracts with those companies and being able to bill, and then recruiting those patients. And it's been a slow go, but we're way past that now, 6 years into this. So
6 years. So 2018?
2016 is when I created the business. We opened in Glenwood September 1st of 17.
Gotcha.
And then 2 years later, we opened the practice in Big Island. And it was kind of a similar situation there, where there had been a clinic that was no longer being used for the purpose, and the people of the community wanted someone to come back and do that. And so I saw this as an opportunity to expand and have a place to practice while we were recreating the Huddleston office. So it's worked out really well.
That's awesome. And I'm from the weird juncture that's almost Monita, but not quite body camp. So whenever I'm out there, there isn't a whole lot of anything out there.
That hub at Glenwood is it is sort of a hub. If you look at the other practices around it, you're about 20 minutes from either one of them. So Alta Vista, New London, into Bedford. It was a good spot to start.
Yeah. And what kind of prompted you? Well, I guess I'm like thinking, the people in Big Island, did they come to you and ask you to please come out there? Or was it also kind of
I actually went to them.
Okay.
Because I knew about the spot. I knew that the space existed. I knew that there wasn't anybody there, that it had been vacant for 2 years since Centra had left the area. And I knew that the community was looking and saw that it was an opportunity to go and offer my services. And not everybody was receptive because they wanted the physician to come back who had been there or someone like him. And although they had tried to recruit someone, that didn't seem to be happening. And so I just made it clear that I was interested and that I would, do my best to provide the care that they were looking for. And so we've made lots of friends, and word of mouth is really how we've built the practice there. Families and people, from the mill, starting to come in, and we've made quite a place and home there. So
that's awesome. I always feel like rural, like unincorporated communities have such a great community within that area, and people don't often think about it or know about it because there's so much like geographic isolation. But people really band together, especially with something that's needed, like your practice.
So yeah, the people who live in the area do not prefer to go over the mountain, they call it, or down 122 to Bedford necessarily for their health care. Although, when you're looking for x-rays and specialty care and emergent care, that's where they need to go. But they like having someone right nearby that they can drop in. And it's really neat to have been a part of that community and get to know the people. My staff are part of that community as well. My receptionist works at the Baptist church there in town. Gotcha. And then my medical assistant lives there. And so she knows everybody. And it's really nice to have those connections because they all are very close.
That's amazing. And how big is your staff currently?
Just those two.
Just those two?
And we're part-time. We're only open right now on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Gotcha.
That's when I go up there because I was dividing my time between the two places.
Gotcha.
So, but we are looking to open more days and have more people in. So
that's really exciting. And you mentioned wanting to get back to Huddleston. Are there any plans in motion currently?
Right. It's been a long haul, but we have recently been approved to begin construction and development of a piece of property that was donated to us by Wallace and Gail Hensley. It was a big article in the paper at one time about that. And we now have gotten past the issues of surveying and getting the plan approved. And we are now ready to move forward with starting to see some changes at the property, which is on Leesville Road, about 2 miles south of Glenwood on Highway 43. So if people know where Alabaster Lane is, down past the Updike Funeral Home and church camp that's down on the left-hand side, when you get to Alabaster Lane, it's directly across the street. So we'll start to get a driveway and, commercial driveway and the ditch cleared there, put a way to get onto the property. So hopefully we'll be able to have a groundbreaking and get some people out on the property, and so they'll become familiar with the area again.
That's going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh.
People ask me all the time, they come in for a visit, when are you getting back in Huddleston? Now I can start to say, well, it's a little bit closer now than it has been. So we're excited to do that.
That's incredible for both your business and just as a project, because I know how long those things take and the headaches. But can you tell us a little bit about what that clinic is going to look like?
Well, I don't have any direct plans yet. I have an idea of making it look home-like, because when we did rent the house that we were in for a short time, people felt at home there. I mean, it was wooden floors and a fireplace in the reception area.
That's nice.
We basically used the bedrooms as of the house as exam rooms. It was just a different environment. It's, trees and grass and just different area than you would find going in a typical clinic. So, we're going to try to create something similar to that. But we don't have anything drawn up yet.
Gotcha. Well, I think that sounds amazing. And we've talked we've kind of circled around your services, but can you tell us a little bit about what you provide and how it might be a little bit different from what people might think of with a primary care office?
Well, because of experiences I've had in the past where, for instance, I provided a lot of genetic testing services for hereditary cancer when I was in the oncology office. So genetics became something that I was interested in. So I still do a little of that when I interview my patients. We talk about family history and what things might be genetic that would influence their own health and those of their family members. So we still do, I do cardiovascular risk assessment that involves some genetics. So I use a lab called Boston Heart Diagnostics, and we look at genetics and the way that it contributes to someone developing heart disease, stroke, and other issues related to that. I also have specialized in pharmacogenomics. I don't know of anybody else really that does that right now. We've done a little bit around the area with marketing that at one time, but I'm no longer in a position where I'm a sales rep or anything like that, but do provide that service for my patients who often with pharmaceuticals have had difficulty finding the right drug or have had reactions to drugs. And this really helps us narrow down what they should and shouldn't take. And it's really been helpful, especially in the psychiatry realm for many years, to find the right medicines for people, since that seems to affect that group of drugs so much more. But not only that, but it's pain meds and blood pressure meds and even common cold products like dextromethorphan that you buy over the counter for a cough. People don't realize that some things just don't work for them because of their genetics. They have to try many things before they find the right thing, and we can help with that.
That's incredible. That's a great asset. Both me and some of my family members have had issues with where we have to take this drug, but for whatever reason, we're having a bad reaction to it, or one of the symptoms is just really hard to ignore or to deal with. And you end up trying so many different things and just hoping that it'll be the right one. So that's really incredible.
And it ties back into the cardiovascular risk, because a lot of patients need to take cholesterol-lowering medicine.
Yeah.
And the statin drugs cause a lot of problems for some people. And if you can identify the particular gene that causes that and, have people avoid that, if you kind of preemptively do the testing before you ever really need to prescribe something, that would be your best scenario, where you already knew what somebody would be prone to have a problem, or where they would have a problem and how to get over that or around that with something different.
I'm already I'm going to leave this place and I'm going to make a referral to you, because I know my mom is having issues with her cholesterol medicine. In her words, it makes her joints crunchy and they just swell so much. But
even people have different reactions. My dad had mouth sores every time he started one, and it's like, that's not on the list. Well, it doesn't matter. It's still not right for him. So, even though it may not have been, the same kind of muscle aches that some people get with it, it was still something he, found a problem with.
I mean, can't have mouth sores just on the regular. Well, excellent. And is there anything else you'd like to highlight with your services?
So one of the other things we've gotten into is that I learned a lot from working with the Boston Heart nurse practitioner. She's very helpful and has been guiding me in ways to help my patients. And one of the things she recommended one time was a study called GI Map. It's a stool test for the microbiome and looking for pathogens and abnormalities that could be contributing to other disease. So we've been doing that for several years, and we consult with the specialist at the Diagnostic Solutions Lab where GI map is performed. And we've been able to help a lot of people that way who had suffered with different gastric problems over the years and never found the actual problem or knew what was going on. And so we've been able to incorporate some naturopathic type treatments to help them rather than using pharmaceuticals that would make things even worse for some people. So
that is also
that's
excellent.
been a really interesting thing to do.
Yeah. It's really cool, like, knowing your background now and then seeing your services, because it's complex what you do, but it all ties in together.
So bringing in a new patient can often be complicated because as they tell their story, a lot of times they haven't felt that they were listened to. We have a 1 hour new patient appointment and a 30-minute follow-up visit. So we're initially, getting fasting labs when they first come in. If I identify they've had medication problems or need some kind of something now that they haven't been able to find, then we'll do the mouth swab. Some of them are coming because they have GI problems and we'll, do the GI map. And it's really a process of getting people caught up on services that they need and haven't had forever. Some of them haven't seen providers in many years because of different reasons they weren't having access or insurance. And so getting those people back into the system and doing all their preventative visits and so forth is a ramp up time to where you can get to where you're doing routine visits every, 3 to 6 months. Some of them need, more to be seen more often. So,
yeah. And I'm also one of those people that's guilty of not going to their doctor more often. And it's nothing against them. It's just they're extremely busy. I'm busy. And when I'm there, it's just a whirlwind. And I always leave and I'm like, oh, I forgot to ask them about this thing, or I forgot to talk about this thing. So I think the 1 hour initial visit, that's like, most people would kill to have that.
Well, they do an intake form and I go through step by step and I'm taking notes all the time. Like I expand their family history when they, tell me about their mom and dad and what they died from and were there other people with similar things. I really, look more into that than probably other people because of my interest in the genetics. And it's very relative to what we do.
I mean, that and the one-on-one setting, I'm sure that's very rewarding for you as somebody who's worked in hospital settings a lot as well. Like really getting to formulate those relationships with your patient, give them your full attention.
And we do have a very strong network of collaborating nurse practitioners and physicians in the community. We have a nurse practitioner now in just about every specialty in the community. And so we have our own group, the Virginia Council of Nurse Practitioners is a statewide group, and then we have a regional group. And a lot of us are participants in that, and we meet regularly and get to know each other. And so if I have a urology problem, I know who to call, and cardiology and endocrinology, all kinds of different specialties where people are that you can reach out and get help from. So we're a close group.
That's amazing. It's really interesting the connections that you make with people that are just working in similar veins or working in the same area. It's kind of similar to the chamber. It's industry specific, but it's really cool to see people where they make that connection once and then they pull on each other to really build their business and serve people really well. Because, I mean, you have all these certificates, but you might not be the expert in each little thing. And I just think it's really cool, like, to have this in Bedford County as well.
Right. And so one of the reasons that we've been able to pass some of the legislation that we have with regard to expanding services is the fact that we were willing to go into rural areas, that we were willing to see Medicare and Medicaid patients. That was one of the direct questions I got from Dr. Garrett when he was in the General Assembly was, you're willing to see Medicaid? I said, absolutely. And they're a very needy people, but they have and very complex medical problems, but it's a real challenge and very rewarding to be able to serve that group. And in many cases, it's turned out to be more of a mission, and a calling than a for-profit business. So we get close to our people, and we think about them in the middle of the night. We worry about them. We'd love to have more efforts in things like social services and psychiatry. I see that just a need so much more now than I did when I first started. I really had no idea. Probably 50% of my practice now is psychiatry and basic screenings for anxiety and depression and bipolar and ADD. People just are really suffering out there. So that's become more of what I do as well.
Yeah. And I think that in rural communities, a lot of that is overlooked or seen as a symptom of something else, or comes in combination with other mental illnesses or physical diseases or disorders. And it all just gets kind of lost. But I keep saying this, but I think it's really incredible that you sit down and you try to untangle all of this and really serve your patients well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, are there any other services? I feel like you guys have a lot more than what you're telling me.
Well, it has been an evolution in my own practice where, again, with the nurse practitioner from Boston Heart, who started to show me that there were ways to treat people with herbs and supplements when you were trying to avoid some of the side effects that you get with some of the other medicines. So I have been studying more over the last 5 years what kinds of herbs and supplements someone could use in place of traditional pharmaceuticals. And CBD and THC are one of those things. I was probably one of the first people to get my certificate to be able to dispense the medical certificate so that people could go to the dispensaries and get clean drug. I'm very leery of people buying THC and CBD products out in the community because they're often tainted. When we do urine drug screens on people, we pick up on things that you wouldn't expect to find if all they're doing is smoking weed. So we felt it was important for people to get clean products, ones that through the dispensary they could get help with choosing the right thing for the right symptom, and getting dose adjustments. You can work with the staff at Rise for that. And so I often will ask people if they've ever used it and would be interested in having a certificate so that we can look at how we might treat some of the anxiety or insomnia or pain symptoms that people are having with CBD. And we've had some good results with that as well.
That is really cool. And I think what you've just said about working with the staff to make sure that you're getting the right herb for you and the right dosage and stuff, that's something that people don't really think about when they think about medical marijuana.
And they had a reaction to something, or maybe got too much of something and it wasn't the right thing for them. I think this is a better way to do it in a more controlled situation.
Definitely.
Than them just trying it with a friend out at a party. So I'd rather people get what they need. And if our body has a system called the endocannabinoid system meant for this type of product. So if you get the right thing, then it should be of help to you.
That is really cool. And you said that you typically prescribe this for, well, not typically, but there are many different things to prescribe marijuana for, or THC or CBD. I think if people look this up, I've seen some of the videos of people with Parkinson's that take...
There's a very dramatic one out there.
Yes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, it's really incredible the effects that CBD has upon, that disease.
And the shame of it that we haven't known about it or been open to it as much as we are now.
Yeah.
And it's only really just begun here in Virginia where we've had this opportunity to be able to do that. States like Colorado have been using it for many years and treating seizure activity and things like that. So it's wide open, something that we look forward to being able to help people with this.
That's excellent. And as you build your new facility and you open up your second clinic, are you going to expand any of your services?
I am looking at adding a family nurse practitioner in Big Island. We have someone who lives up there who's interested. And so she did not have her 5 years of practice that is required for autonomous license. So in her case, she would have to have a physician collaborator for a period of time. That law was changed just this year to where she now only needs 3 years of practice to be able to do that, and she has 4 years.
Nice.
However, the law does not go into effect until July 1st.
Gotcha.
So in order to bring her in before that and before all those credentials can be obtained with insurance, we have to have a collaborating physician. So we have found someone who's willing to work with us, with her, for a temporary contract from like June to December. We figure that will get all the business set aside so that she can practice autonomously. But she's interested in the practice, what we do. She has some interest in alternative medicine and using tinctures for some things made from herbs and things from her farm. So this will be another addition to our practice that some people will be interested in having her work with them as well. She can do women's health and pediatrics, which are not my strong points. So that will add another aspect. My adult nurse practitioner certificate starts at age 13, and she'll be able to see, the younger children. So we're glad to be able to bring that service back in.
That is really incredible. That's going to make a very well-rounded clinic out there.
We hope so.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I've learned a lot, and you are a very interesting person. So this has been really cool for me.
Thank you.
But is there anything else that you'd like to add that you would say to people who are maybe considering switching providers?
People don't necessarily have to switch providers to come to see us, because we do offer specialty services, and there are people who really are connected to their provider, and that's fine with us. We take referrals in. Like, I have a psych NP who refers people in for me to do the pharmacogenomics with them, or sees other issues that she thinks my genetics can help with. So we do take referrals without taking people away from their medical provider. But if they seem to like the atmosphere and wish to stay with us, we're certainly welcome and open to taking them in.
Well, excellent. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your new clinic and seeing how it goes.
We are too.
I know, I can tell. But it'll be incredible. So thank you so much for joining me today.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Of course. And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
Well, we have all kinds of ways. We have our website, sapienthealthservices.com. All that information about location and contact is there. Our phone number in Big Island is 434-299-5029. We also have email, sapientoffice@protonmail.com.
Perfect. Well, if you guys are interested in any of the services that Phyllis mentioned earlier, contact her. Or if you're located in a rural area and you maybe want to switch your providers, this is a really excellent clinic. But yeah, if you guys want to learn more about the Chamber, you can call us at 540-586-9401, or you can visit our website for info about our mission and the perks of becoming a member. Also on our website is a full business directory of our membership, which is helpful for finding all sorts of great things in the region, including Sapient Health Services. But that's all for today. Thanks so much for listening, and keep an ear out for the next Chamber Vibes podcast.